SHEEK is an American band that was organized during 1976 by guitarist Nile Rodgers and bassist Bernard Edwards. It is known best for its commercially successful disco songs, including Dance, 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 Everybody Dance, Le Freak, I Want Your Love, Good Times, and My Forbidden Lover. The group regarded themselves as a rock band for the disco movement that made good on hippie peace, love and freedom. In October 2013, SHEEK was nominated for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the 9th time. History, 1970–1978, Origins and Early Singers. Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards met during 1970, as fellow session musicians working in the New York City area. They formed a rock band named The Boys and later the Big Apple Band, playing numerous gigs around New York City. Despite interest in their demos, they never got a record contract. They were in a band, New York City, which had a hit record in 1973 with I'm Doing Fine Now, which charted in the UK. The original demo tapes were made by DJ studio engineer Robert Drake, who first played Lacquer Records while jigging at a New York after-hours club, Night Owl. The title of the first song recorded as SHEEK was Everybody Dance, which was on their first album. During 1977, Edwards and Rodgers recruited drummer Tony Thompson, formerly with La Belle and Ecstasy, Passion, and Pain, to join the band. They performed as a trio doing cover versions at various gigs. Thompson recommended keyboardist Raymond Jones, 19, to join the band, as he had worked with him in the hit group Ecstasy, Passion and Pain. Needing a singer to become a full band, they engaged Norma Jeane right by an agreement permitting her to have a solo career in addition to her work for the band. Using a young recording engineer Bob Clay Mountain, they created the tracks Dance, Dance, Dance. As a result, SHEEK became a support act. Under contract with Atlantic Records Company, during 1977 they released the self-titled debut album SHEEK, which was an extension of the demonstration tape. But Edwards and Rodgers were convinced that to produce the band's recording studio sound when performing live with sound and visuals, they needed to add another female singer. Wright suggested her friend Lucy Martin, who became a member during late winter-early spring of 1978. Soon after the sessions ended for the debut album, the band members began to work on Wright's self-titled debut solo album Norma Jeane, released during 1978. This album included the successful nightclub song Saturday. To facilitate Wright's solo career, the band had agreed to contract her with a separate record company. The legal details of this contract eventually forced Wright to end her relationship with the band during mid-1978, but she participated in the sessions for SHEEK-produced Sister Sledge album, We Are Family. She was replaced as a singer by Alpha Anderson, who had done backup vocals on the band unregistered trademark's debut album. For the Sister Sledge project, Edwards and Rodgers wrote and produced He's the Greatest Dancer, in exchange for I Want Your Love. 1978–1979, Le Freak, and Good Times, the group endeavored to express deep hidden meaning in every song they wrote. During late 1978, the band released the album Kiss Cheek, containing one of its best-known tracks, Le Freak. It was created in a jam session in Edwards' apartment, after they had failed on New Year's Eve 1977 to meet with Grace Jones at New York's nightclub Studio 54. The original refrain fuck off, intended for the doormen of Studio 54, was replaced that night with freak out, after trying a version with freak off. The resulting single was a great success, scoring #1 on the U.S. charts and selling more than 6 million copies. It was the best-selling single album ever of Atlantic's parent company, Warner Music, until Madonna's Vogue in 1990. The next year, the group released the Risque copyright album and the lead track Good Times, one of the most influential songs of the era. The track was the basis of Grandmaster Flash's Adventures on the Wheels of Steel, and the Sujihal Gang's breakthrough hip-hop music single, Rapper's Delight. It has been sampled since by many dance and hip-hop acts, as well as being the inspiration for Queen's Another One Bites the Dust, Blondie's Rapture, Captain Sensible's What? And the bassline for Daft Punk Around the World. At the same time, Edwards and Rodgers composed, arranged, performed, and produced many influential disco and rhythm and blues records for various artists, including Sister Sledge's albums We Are Family and Love Somebody Today. Sheila and Be Devotion Spacer. Diana Ross's 1980 album Diana, which included the successful singles Upside Down, I'm Coming Out, and My Old Piano. Carly Simon's Why? And Debbie Harry's debut solo album Cuckoo. An album recorded with Johnny Mathis was rejected by his label and remains unreleased. Chic also introduced a young session vocalist, Luther Vandross, who sang on Chic's early albums. He later became notable in his own right. 1980s Euro 1990s, disbanding, other projects, a brief reunion. After the anti-disco reaction of the 1970s, the band struggled to obtain both airplay and sales, and during the early 1980s they disbanded. Rodgers and Edwards produced records for a variety of artists together and separately. The chic rhythm section of Rodgers, Edwards, and Thompson provided instrumental backup for the successful album Diana for Diana Ross that ended up selling over 10 million albums internationally during 1980, with Rodgers and Edwards producing. It yielded the 4 weeks at #1 single Upside Down, and the top 10 song I'm Coming Out. My Old Piano was also a top 10 single for Ross in the United Kingdom. Rodgers co-produced David Bowie's 1983 album Let's Dance and was also responsible largely for the early success of Madonna during 1984 with her Like a Virgin album, which again reunited Rodgers, Thompson, and Edwards, with keyboardist Rob Sabino and collaborators Jeff Baumba and Jimmy Bralower. During 1984, Rodgers was involved with a project of the band the Oneidrappers and helped produce that band's only EP. Thompson and Edwards worked with the group Power Station on its successful 1985 album, as well as Power Station main singer Robert Palmer's solo success Riptide that same year, both of which Edwards produced. 1985 saw Rodgers producing the Thompson Twins' successful Here's to Future Days album, and appearing live with them and Madonna at Live Aid in Philadelphia. During 1986, Rodgers produced the fourth album from Duran Duran, Notorious. Bernard Edwards later gave Duran Duran's bassist John Taylor the bass guitar he'd played on many of Chic's songs. Taylor had long been a Chic fan, his style influenced greatly by Edwards' playing. After a 1989 birthday party where Rodgers, Edwards, Paul Shaffer, and Anton Fig played old Chic songs, Rodgers and Edwards organized a reunion of the old band. They recorded new material, a single, Chic Mystique, and subsequent album Chicism, both of which charted Euro and played live all over the world, to great audience and critical acclaim. During 1996, Rodgers was honored as the top producer in the world in Billboard magazine, and was named a JT Super Producer. That year, he performed with Bernard Edwards, Sister Sledge, Steve Winwood, Simon Le Bon, and Slash in a series of commemorative concerts in Japan. His longtime musical partner Edwards died of pneumonia at age 43 during the trip on April 18, 1996. His final performance was recorded and released as Live at the Budokan. Chic continued to tour with new musicians. Thompson died of kidney cancer on November 12, 2003 at age 48. 2000 Euro present, compilations, nominations, and venues. Chic released 4 new albums during the 2000s, The Very Best of Chic, Good Times, The Very Best of the Hits and the Remixes, A Night in Amsterdam, and The Definitive Groove Collection. A box set, Nile Rodgers Presents the Chic Organization, Volume 1, Savoir-Faire was released in 2010, covering Rodgers and Edwards' productions both for Chic and for other artists up to the original breakup of the partnership in 1983. Chic has been nominated for inclusion in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 9 times, 2003, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2011, 2013 and 2014. Rodgers and Chic continue to perform to major audiences worldwide as Chic Ft. Nile Rodgers. In October 2010, Rodgers began his fight with prostate cancer. In October 2011, he released his autobiography entitled Le Freak, an upside-down story of family, disco, and destiny. On July 29, 2013, Rodgers posted on Twitter that he was cancer-free. In 2013, SHEEK ft Nile Rodgers headlined the West Holts stage on Friday night at the Glastonbury Festival in the UK, and played a variety of tracks both from SHEEK and from Nile Rodgers' extensive list of songs he had worked on for other artists. My favourite act at this Euro unregistered trademark South Glastonbury, when I went, was not the Rolling Stones, as great as they were. Was not the Arctic Monkeys, as good as they were. Was not Disclosure, as good as they were. But it was SHEEK. They were fucking mega. Absolutely out of this world. Noel Gallagher, a compilation album, Up All Night, credited to the SHEEK organization and featuring their productions for various artists between 1977 and 1982, was released the following Monday 1 July, and entered the UK compilation albums chart at number 2 a week later. SHEEK ft Nile Rodgers played the iTunes Festival in London on September 14, 2013. SHEEK ft Nile Rodgers opened the X Factor live show on November 2, 2013 for Disco Week. They performed a medley of hits including La Freak, He's the Greatest Dancer, and Good Times. Rodgers announced in 2013 that he was working on a new SHEEK album, based on recently rediscovered tapes of unreleased material from the early 1980s. He also stated that Daft Punk is interested in working on at least one song of the unreleased material with him. Rodgers co-wrote and performed on 3 songs off Daft Punk's 2013 Grammy Award-winning Album of the Year Random Access Memories, including the Grammy Record of the Year Get Lucky with and Pharrell Williams. SHEEK ft Nile Rodgers headlined at the 2014 Essence Festival curated by Prince. Special guests performing with SHEEK during a segment of the show that highlighted SHEEK's songwriting and production work for other artists, were Kathy Sledge for Sister Sledge's We Are Family, Janelle Monáe for Sister Sledge's He's the Greatest Dancer, and Prince for David Bowie's Let's Dance. SHEEK ft Nile Rodgers headlined Festival in the Isle of Wight, UK on September 7, 2014. Nile Rodgers played tribute to his guitar technician Terry Brower at Festival after learning of his death from cancer. Influences and awards. SHEEK influenced the vocal and music style of the Italian-American disco band Change, which had a series of successes during the early 1980s. Interestingly, the two acts also had a couple things in common. SHEEK alumnus Vandross was also Change's vocalist upon the latter's formation, and like SHEEK, were also signed to Atlantic through its distributed RFC label. In addition to refining a relatively minimalist disco sound, SHEEK helped to inspire other artists to create their own sound. For example, the Suja Gang used Good Times as the basis for its success Rapper's Delight, which helped initiate the hip-hop recorded music format as we know today. Good Times was used also by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five on its hit On the Wheels of Steel, which was used in the end sequence of the first hip-hop movie, Wild Style, from 1982. Blondie's 1980 US #1 song Rapture was not only influenced by Good Times, but was a direct tribute to SHEEK, and main singer Deborah Harry's 1981 debut solo album Cuckoo was produced by Edwards and Rodgers. SHEEK was cited as an influence by the majority of successful bands from Great Britain during the 1980s. John Taylor, the bassist from Duran Duran, claims the bass part of their top 10 single Rio was influenced by Edwards' work with SHEEK. Even Johnny Marr of the Smiths has cited the group as a formative influence. Rodgers' guitar work has been so emulated as to become commonplace, and Edwards' lyrical bass is also much cited in music circles, as is Thompson's recorded drum work. Queen got the inspiration for its single Another One Bites the Dust from Bernard Edwards' familiar bass guitar riff on Good Times after John Deacon met the band in the Power Station recording studio. The French duo Mojo used the guitar sample from SHEEK's Soup for One as the basic theme for its most famous single Lady. On September 19, 2005, the group was honored at the Dance Music Hall of Fame ceremony in New York when they were inducted in 3 categories: 1. Artist inductees, 2. Record inductees for Good Times, and 3. Producers inductees, Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. Throughout the year 2011, the song Funny Bone could be heard quite often as the bumper music on the Rush Limbaugh show daily. Bumper music is snippets of songs to segue commercial slots. Lineup: Original core band, Bernard Edwards a Euro bass, vocals, Nile Rodgers a Euro guitar, vocals, Tony Thompson a Euro drums, Alpha Anderson a Euro lead vocals, Lucy Martin a Euro lead vocals. Current band: Nile Rodgers a Euro guitar, vocals, Jerry Barnes, bass, vocals, Ralph Roll, drums, vocals, Kimberly Davis, lead vocals, Theleme Ancoanda Thompson, vocals, Richard Hilton, keyboards, Russell Graham, keyboards, Bill Holloman, horns, Kurt Ram, horns, The SHEEK strings, Karen Milne, Marianne Carroll, Valerie Hayward, Cheryl Hong, Karen Karlsrud, Gene Orloff. Additional personnel: vocals a Europhones E. Thornton, Michelle Cobbs, Orlando McCulloch, Luther Vandross, Jocelyn Brown, Silver, Logan Sharp, Jessica Wagner, Theleme Ancoanda Thompson, Kimberly Davis, David Larsley, keyboards a Euro Richard Hilton, Raymond Jones, Robert Sabino, Andy Schwartz, Nathaniel S. Hardy, Jr., Selon Lerner, Russell Graham, percussion a Euro Sammy Figueroa, Gerardo Velez, bass, Jerry Barnes, horns, William Holloman, Kurt Ram, Don Harris. Discography. See also, List of number 1 hits, List of artists who reached number 1 on the Hot 100, List of number 1 dance hits, List of artists who reached number 1 on the US dance chart. References: Everybody Dance, Chic and the Politics of Disco, Darrell Easley, Helter Skelter Publishing, ISBN 1-900924-56-0, Notes. External links: SHEEK at AllMusic, SHEEK biography at Billboard Magazine, SHEEK biography at Rolling Stone Magazine, NileRodgers.com a Euro Nile Rodgers official website, 75-minute audio mix of SHEEK songs interviews.